today's speech, I'm going to talk about why AI is still not taking up in healthcare. So this whole keynote is about this. So to begin with, what I'll give you is like a contrasting examples between AI in healthcare and AI elsewhere. Okay, so we'll see how AI is booming elsewhere but not in healthcare as expected. For example, let's start with the, go to Google Scholar and you just type here AI in healthcare. So you will end up getting millions of papers. Of course, it has duplicates, it has reviews. You can see here it is close to 6 million papers in healthcare research. So this gives an idea about the huge effort that is going on in this field for decades. But if you take a step back and look at the big picture, we haven't reached anything tangible in healthcare, right? So to begin with, maybe like before going to your healthcare provider, maybe you will do a googling of your symptoms. The response by LLM, of course, these days the Google response by LLM first, then it gives Google search, the traditional search results, right? So most of the response by LLMs on healthcare is like exaggerated. So you will see that you get yourself verified about your health condition, only to find later that the symptoms that you are having is nothing but just a simple sickness, right? So this keynote or this talk is about why there is no trust between, why there is a huge gap between the AI decisions and the trustworthiness. People are not believing AI in healthcare, right? On the other hand, I'll take you to very recent application by Google. Any guess what this application is? Nano Banana, right? So Google Nano Banana. So what you are seeing here is the original picture, right? So for this original picture, the prompt that I gave was change the output for this person so that it looks more formal, right? So immediately, within no time, it did not take any time, it gave such an accurate response by Google Nano Banana, okay? And then for the same picture, so here is like we had a big picture here, and then the AI model was so accurate to work on only the foreground part, leaving the background so accurate. Nothing has been distorted, right? Now I gave a prompt such that it works on the foreground, just to check how it keeps the background. So I gave the prompt change the background to be standing by the side of a river. So it gave another very accurate picture where foreground is unaffected, background is completely changed without giving any clue for others to guess whether it is original or modified, right? And then I went ahead and gave a prompt that does both changes in the foreground as well as in the background. So I gave this prompt, change the color of the tile red, make it more meaningful for a university setup. So what it did is it seamlessly modified the content, it modified the foreground, the tie color has been changed, and there is a background which is completely a university setup, right? On one hand, we have AI is so accurate and it is working on multimodal input, right? So you are giving text prompt, it is understanding your text, and it is able to perform its action on an image so accurately, right? It doesn't give any clue to anyone that whether it is real or edited. Why this is not there in healthcare when we have an AI model that can understand so accurately and performs its action? Why such an application is not there in healthcare? Any guess? Data. Okay, so healthcare is one of the domains that produces lot more data than any other fields. In fact, there is a study that 1/3 of the data generated by in the world is by healthcare, right?
Might be due to the privacy, it's not shared.
Privacy, it's not shared. Okay, there is one thing. You are close to the answer. Yes.
It's a life critical thing, so people don't want to take that risk.
Exactly. So what do you call, like, there is a terminology for that? There is no reliability. There is another closely, reliability you are there. So it is trustworthiness, right? So there has to be an explainability in the decisions delivered by AI. So there is explainability which is very inherent in this output, right? Okay, so we can see the output, okay, we are convinced. But when the decisions delivered by AI, the decisions are not clear to the clinicians. They don't trust. Without trust, you cannot put. So in this keynote, what I'm going to talk is like, what are the aspects that can be taken in healthcare so that we can have a true adaptation of AI in 2025 and beyond. Okay, so this is about my talk. I'm not going to drag on any topic for more than 5 minutes, so I'm going to cover the topics that needs your focus on those topics if you are really looking into working on healthcare domain 2025. Okay, so my talk is revolving around so to begin with, big disclaimer, this whole talk is not about replacing the clinicians, AI as a partner, not as a substitute in healthcare. Even though we are in 2025, we cannot still very reliably trust LLM models for their aspects. Okay, so first I will talk about where we are in AI currently, okay, in healthcare, and then I will touch base on agentic AI, a new framework where people are focusing. You know, this field of AI is very rapidly evolving. Every 6 months, every 1 year, we are getting a completely new domain where, you know, the people, the shift of focus, you know, completely dominates there. So currently we are in an era of agentic AI. So I'll touch base on what is agentic AI, how it can help in healthcare, and then multimodal AI, multimodal agentic AI, you can say, trustworthy AI, and finally, how we can have some collaboration of AI in clinical workflows. So this is my talk. Towards the end, I'll show you some noteworthy demos that can, you know, that should inspire you to take up some projects at least to start with your studies. Okay. Okay. So what do you think is AI today? Where we are faring in healthcare as an AI? So in AI, we are in healthcare specifically. AI is very fast in diagnosis, right? So you give some input image or input data. It is very fast in diagnosing what is that image is about, like what is the disease in that modality, right? So it is very fast. It is very good in predictive analytics, and AI can be incorporated in clinical workflows. You know, the hospital is never a linear workflow environment, right? Suddenly, patient condition deteriorates. There is an emergency that arises. So there are so many things. There has to be communication between labs and other doctors, interdisciplinary departments. So clinical workflow is never a linear workflow. It is very complicated one. So having AI in clinical workflow definitely helps. So I'm talking about current AI in healthcare. Also, AI can be used in personalized care. So depending on the data that we are having, you know, almost it has become, it's not entirely uncommon these days to have what do you call this one, smartwatch, right? Health track devices, wearable devices. Everybody tracking their health. Everybody is having their data of their vitals for last so many years. I've been here, wearing this for 7-8 years. I have data for the 7-8 years about my health, with an expectation that AI will come up with a useful recommendation about my health, right? So this is the current promise of AI in healthcare. This is not, you know, the pity thing is we have not gone beyond the predictive AI in healthcare. So it is a promise. So having an AI in workflow, it definitely improves the efficiency, having personalized care. But have you ever witnessed any personal guidance from your wearable device about your health? No, right? It senses your temperature. Maybe it says when you fall down, it may call some emergency. If your heart rate is more than, you know, some normal range, then it can notify. So these are all predictive analytics. It is not giving any insight about your health, right? So the summary from this slide is, beyond predictive analytics, AI has not taken really any leap forward in the healthcare. Okay, so limitations of current AI is like it is excellent in prediction, weak in reasoning. That means it's like a student who is very good in answering the questions that is, you know, given to them for preparation. But when it comes to reasoning, students, only those students who have memorized it, they struggle to give any kind of reasoning, right? In clinical workflow, doctors, they don't just take the answers. They want a reasoning out of why AI has given that kind of result, that kind of prediction. Okay, so this is one limitation. Other limitation is like mostly in the beginning I've shown the Google Scholar 6 million kind of papers, right? Most of the papers it is like single modality. So they work on a particular modality. They don't consider all the multimodal dimensionality into the healthcare prediction. So this is another limitation. And then they struggle with dynamic workflow. So the summary is AI has not taken any progress in healthcare, even though we are in 2025. So the point behind today's discussion is like how actually one has to approach AI in healthcare to have some meaningful adaptation in 2025. Okay. So this is again the same thing that I explained to you. A chest X-ray is fed to AI. It says 70% probability of pneumonia, but there is a limitation. Why that is 70%? What happened to that 30%? Is there any consideration of the travel history? Is there any consideration of the patient history, symptoms? Nothing, right? So there is just one input goes and there is one output comes. So this is the reason, although we have sophisticated AI models, just we saw a demo of Nano Banana, how accurate it is, why it's not adapted in healthcare. Because of this lacking in trustworthiness, not able to consider multimodal data, and it's not having any reliable basis. So doctors they need when you go to doctors clinician they always consider for even some small sickness they will consider multiple results. They see your blood sample results, they see scan results, right? And also they need reasoning. Even if they are using an AI system for prediction, when the prediction comes, the doctors they need some kind of reasoning why this AI model is giving that kind of answers. So this is the current scenario in healthcare with the adoption of AI. Any questions? So I'm completing one portion of my presentation before I get into what makes AI more stronger in the current era is the next stage. Any questions? Or should we keep the questions to the end? I wanted the interaction from you so that we can have some meaningful discussion. I feel like I'm talking continuously one way. No questions? So far clear?
How do you think the reasoning model? Right now we have so many reasoning models coming in.
Yes.
How the reasoning models can.
Yes. So that is our next part of my presentation.
So, two things. The first thing is going to be predictive things are there based on the data.
Yes.
But reasoning is not there.
Reasoning is not. Yes.
Okay. So there is an app in Smart Things where they calculate the sleep environment, your sleep patterns.
Yes. Yes.
And they make it a summary.
Yes.
Yes. So
There are apps that are developed in bits and pieces.
yeah. So it also belongs to that.
Yes.
It
Yes.
derives from something and
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm not denying the fact that there are completely no such adaptation. There are in bits and pieces, but the comprehensive coverage of like entire clinical scenario is not there. Yeah. Yes.
So, in the result of the model showing that 70%
Yes.
was missed, I feel like that's a fair assumption of the AI because even a person coughing could have tuberculosis in the rare chance.
Yes.
So, even a good doctor, unless knowing every single information about the patient, is unable to diagnose.
Exactly.
So, like, I feel like something 70% is not that reliable. I would say that just that 70% we consider as a proper diagnosis for the doctor to work.
Exactly. Your point is valid. So the AI is giving the answer, 70% chances that the patient is having pneumonia. But it is not giving you the reason behind its decision. Why it is thinking, okay, it's 70%. If it incorporates some kind of reasoning, I am saying 70% because of this reason, then there is element of trustworthiness. Right now it is being used as a black box. The answer that it gives. Exactly. That is also part of today's presentation. So the current emerging field in AI in healthcare is explainable AI, where we have number of algorithms like LINE, SHAP, GradCam, LRP. so many algorithms are there which they use it as a surrogate model, a model built up upon the classifier to explain something. Yeah.
For the base user, like a doctor see the ultrasound report or X-ray report, he then asks, okay, do you was you ill before 2 days or 1 week or 1
Yes,
month, right?
yes, yes.
So doesn't it, user give the correct prompt along with the image,
Yes.
and then it get the proper listing. Okay, I have traveled. User is themselves as a patient is telling to a doctor.
Yes.
Same way a user can tell to the model.
One of the demos that I'm going to show is a road. So they have adapted AI for pre-visit consultation. Like what happened, where did you go, what are the symptoms. So that is automatically taken by the AI machine, so that there is lot of time devoted between patient and the doctor. Right now it is taken away by the administrative task. Okay, so going ahead, thank you for your introduction, I really appreciate it. So AI in healthcare, a journey through time. So this picture indicates that AI is not a new field, it is there for several decades, right from 1950s and 70s. So I'll just touch base on some of the seminal works that actually made the AI to progress rapidly. So in early 2010, 11 and also until this field, early 2000 we had the field of machine learning, right? Machine learning learns by pattern and the data. And then we had in early 2010 to 15 we had the field of deep learning booming because we had sophisticated computers that could run the convolutional neural networks and other deep neural networks. So that made computer vision field to achieve performance more than human level performance, right? Especially in computer vision and image recognition. Then in 2017 there was one seminal paper. Anyone knows that paper in NLP? Yes, do you know the title of the paper? Attention is all you need by Vaswani et al. So that paper is actually the reason behind all this complete transformation about this AI that is booming and taking almost every area of this application of AI. So 2017 we saw application of transformers, and then 2017 led to development of LLMs, right? And then LLMs led to the field of generative AI. In 2020 we had 2021 we saw the LLMs coming, ChatGPT, and then after ChatGPT came, we saw this generative AI taking place in every field. And then now we are in the field of agentic and multimodal AI. So for 2025 and beyond, you should be focusing on agentic AI concepts more than deep learning. So those things, if you see this timeline, we had machine learning almost occupying 10 years. Deep learning occupying almost 5-6 years, right? Then transformers came 3-4 years. Then we had LLMs 1 or 2 years. Then we have generative AI 6 to 8 months. Agentic AI. So you see the rapid development of AI field. So if you don't get yourself updated, you will be outdated, and definitely the people who don't get themselves updated with AI, they are the ones to get replaced. It is not AI replacing the job. It is AI. The people who doesn't know AI will be replaced. So this is the point. Okay. So if you see at this timeline, every decade has added a layer of additional capability to the AI systems. Now we are staring at a very powerful LLMs that is so accurate in understanding human inputs in terms of language, and also they are now building vision language models, so there is multimodality as well in the LLMs. Okay, so this is about the timeline. Now we are entering a new AI era in healthcare. Now this is from this picture you can see here this is again AI generated picture. Most of the pictures generated by AI. You can see here AI can detect the disease early, which is the predictive AI, and then based on the history of the documents, and when we have LLM, it is so good with the text, right? So we can basically feed in the entire history of a patient as a textual input, and it can go through the entire history and gives the reasoning behind why this person has pneumonia, why this person has cancer. So reasoning is there, and also it can explain, because LLMs are trained on sophisticated models and other medical documents and papers, it can explain treatment options for the patient. So I have the symptom, based on its training ability and the knowledge it has, it can guide the patient like what can be done in the future going forward in the treatment plans. And also it can assist the doctors, like okay, you have a patient, he has this one. Now all these things look so easy, right? When you connect the dots, like you have LLMs, you have generative AI, you have the incredible power of AI these days. You can just, what you have to do is like in AI for the healthcare, you have to bring all them together, connect the dots, you will have a sophisticated model for healthcare. Done? It's not a fiction story I'm talking here. Don't think like it is okay, he has generated image using AI. He's just talking there because there is an opportunity for him to talk in the keynote. No. If you're thinking, no, you're absolutely wrong. These are all doable projects. Okay? Myself could implement a simple AI adaptation for healthcare. I will show you towards the end. And I have put it in the Hugging Face. You know Hugging Face, right? So there are Hugging Face space where you can actually leverage some model and use it as an application and push it there for other streams. So it is so easy these days. I strongly urge all the students here who are here, please try put some efforts in knowing recent frameworks about AI models so that your project and from there your capability get enhances and there is a good chance of you ending up in a job. Okay. So this is clear to you now? What is the summary? What is the summary of my talk so far?
Beyond prediction, reasoning is more important.
Reasoning is more important, and we have seen what is the limitations of the traditional AI, and we have seen what are the capabilities the current AI can do in healthcare. Okay. Now going ahead, I am touching this technology, agentic AI. This is the field that is going to transform the healthcare. This is the field that I was referring without actually terming it as agentic AI. Now, what is agentic AI? The next few slides is about what is agentic AI, the basics. Suppose if you know already, it is good for you. So, agentic AI refers to AI systems with autonomy and reasoning to perform multi-step tasks. Okay, you don't have to read these things. So, agentic AI means it has how it is different from the traditional AI. It has the power of being autonomous. So, what do you mean by autonomous? So it is having the ability to carry out some task on its own without the human intervention. In the normal predictive AI, what happens? You give input, it gives you output. Like it's like a calculator. You do some calculation, it gives the answer, right? But the agentic AI is like you give a task and it carries out the task. It's like a medical intern who's like in the final year of their MBBS. They work with the doctors, right? So agentic AI is like an intern, medical intern who's in the final year. You tell, okay, there is a patient like this, he's having this problem, you take care of it. So that intern will go to that patient, he sees the report, and then seeing on the current symptoms, current situation, he may change the lab results, right? He may change the medication without actually having to consult the doctor. Of course, doctor will come into the picture when there is a big decision to take, right? So this is agentic AI. So there is autonomy, which is the main thing for an agentic AI, and then it has incredible power of reasoning to perform a task. So given a task, it has, if you have studied this in LLMs, there is chain of thought reasoning, right? So chain of thought reasoning means you give a task, it tries to break down the task into several small achievable small subtasks so that eventually the big goal is achieved. So this agentic AI has this power of autonomy, reasoning, and also they have the power of getting adaptable to the emerging situations. Okay, so it learns by the data. Okay, the patient is doing well. According to that, it does the response. If the patient's condition is deteriorating, it changes its treatment plan. Okay. Okay, so this is another definition taken from a different domain. AI system that act autonomously to achieve specific goals. tools. So this is, as I told you, you will end up having 5 to 10 different definitions for the field of agentic AI because it is an emerging field and it is also rapidly developing field. So every day, if I don't read about agentic AI for next 2-3 months, I'll be outdated. So a new capability would have risen. Okay. It can perceive, reason, plan, execute actions independently, goes beyond prompt response to goal-oriented behavior, adapts to changing environment. As I told you, these points I've already discussed. So, is it clear to you what is agentic AI? So, what should come to your mind if someone says agentic AI? It is an AI with the capability of being autonomous and adaptable as well as reasoning. So, where is this reasoning going to help? Reasoning can help in taking the right decision. Eventually, it will help in trustworthiness, right? So, why the decision was taken. So, this reasoning part was not there in the predictive AI. Okay, so these are the 3 main components as I have mentioned to you, the main traits of agentic AI. Now, evolution. So, traditional AI is rule-based. Generative AI is the AI that we saw in early 2020-21. Okay, so it was able to generate text. Then we had generating images, right? And what is that concept called? Generating images. Stable diffusion, right? Diffusion models which generates images, and then these days we have no time to generates the videos. Okay. So how far is your efforts to update yourself with AI? How are you catching up with this very rapid developing field? Any efforts? You have to put conscious efforts to know what is happening in AI. Otherwise, if you are just following the curriculum, believe me, this curriculum of what is being taught in university will not take you beyond what is deep learning. Okay? So, there are good domains like you have Coursera, you have deep learning.ai websites. You go there are short courses for 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm taking a tangent here, but I think it's worth giving you this information. Have you ever been here to this website? Deeplearning.ai. Have you ever been here? It's a wonderful website. I know it's off the topic, but I think because most of you are here students, explore this this website, deeplearning.ai. It has so many short courses. You know, you can just sit and enjoy an evening, 1 or 2 hours. You will finish a module, you will earn a certificate which can go into your CV. At the same time, it can help you build your CV also. Okay? More than CV, it will help you build your technical expertise. Okay, so sorry for taking the time, but it's okay. It's useful for you. Okay, so going ahead, why agentic AI? Why agentic AI has come into picture right now? What's the reason? Why not 2-3 years before? Why not 5 years before? We had powerful computers. We had HPCs, right? High performance computing devices. Any reason why agentic AI is coming? What is at the heart of agentic AI? Chain of thoughts, autonomous decision. So the question is why we could not take autonomous decisions 5 years before, 2 years before? Why now? If you can link it to the timeline of AI progress, you can tell this. You can link. Agentic AI is more popular, more capable these days because
framework evaluation. Framework evaluation.
Frameworks.
Deep learning, ML, next year about generative AI.
Exactly.
Framework is
exactly. One of the reasons is, you know, all these big companies, Meta, Microsoft, Google, what they are doing? They are collecting data. They are not stopping by collecting the data. They are training the large language models, right? So they are building sophisticated models and they are releasing it to the community. Some are open source, some are proprietary. So the availability of LLMs is actually making the agentic AI to flourish. Okay, so LLMs is at the heart of reasoning, is at the heart of agentic AI. So if you want to get better in agentic AI, you need to know what is LLMs, how to invoke the LLMs, how to download the models and all those things. Okay, so this is the reason why agentic AI is flourishing these days. So we have advanced LLMs, not only advanced LLMs, we have frameworks like LangChain, we have LangGraph, AI. These frameworks makes interaction with these LLMs so easy. Okay, so that is why agentic AI is more popular. Now these are the components of agentic AI. Now of course we can have a separate session on just components of agentic AI for 1 hour. I'm just going through it very briefly. What do you mean by perception? These are components of agentic AI system. Perception means gathering the input, right? What is the input from the user? So this is perception. How do we gather input? How ChatGPT gathers input? There is a separate field of concept called prompt engineering, right? So how well you prompt the LLM, that accurate is the result, right? So if you are very lethargic in terms of your prompts, the answer will also be inaccurate. So that is the first thing, perception, and then we have cognitive engine. So cognitive engine is used for reasoning purpose. Given a task, how I can break down the task into subtasks. So this is done by whom? This is done by just now we covered this topic. LLMs. It is done by LLMs. So LLM is the brain of an agentic AI system. Okay? So you have LLM as a cognitive engine, and then we need memory. Why do we need memory in agentic AI systems? Because we need to maintain the context. We need to have the conversation history so that it continues to give a very reliable answers. And then we have actions. Now, what do you mean by action? So you give input, it reasons about the input, then it thinks about what steps to be taken, and then finally it has to perform some action, right? So there is an action module also, and then it has to adapt for the situation. That is why we have something called learning module that will help the agentic AI system to learn to the ever evolving data that is fed to the system. Clear, right? So these are the components. So if you already know what is machine learning, if you already know deep learning, how much time do you think you need to spend to learn LLMs? Large language models. You just have to read that Transformers paper. Attention is all you need. So they have complete flow of like how the input is spread, tokenizing, and then encoding, and then decoding. So you read that paper. Once you know that paper, LLMs, you need to interact with the LLMs. You need to know how to input the prompt. You need to know how do you get a structured output, right? Then how do you pass the output in order for your system to feed that output to another LLM as an input. So spend 1 or 2 days on LangChain. So in 3 days, you are ready to operate with LLMs. Once you know to operate with LLMs, you study the next flow, which is LangGraph. Okay, so LangChain and then LangGraph. So once you are in LangGraph, you are now ready to explore the field of agentic AI system. Okay, it is that easy. So don't think it is a complicated system. It takes ages to get yourself well versed in the topic. Just if you spend good time for 4 to 5 days, it is enough for you to get well versed in the field of agentic AI. Okay. Yeah. So I skipped this slide because we are running short of time. So this is just easy comparison between what is the traditional AI and the agentic AI. Just randomly I take this row, interaction, it is one shot. That is, you give an input, it's like a calculator. You give an input, you get the output. Whereas in agentic AI, you can have an interaction, you can have a follow conversation. This is agentic AI. Okay. Okay, so what is agentic AI in healthcare? As I told you, I think we have discussed this a lot previously before beginning to talk. Agentic AI in healthcare is limited to your imagination. Application of agentic AI in healthcare is limited to your imagination. So you think of some scenario, it is definitely possible to implement that. Of course, if you want to have a reliable agentic AI flow in a healthcare, you need to phase out stage by stage. Okay? But what I am trying to say in this slide is we can have agentic AI for diagnosis purpose. Okay, so given some data which I am taking, because of its power of making reasoning images, out of tables, out of some text written by the lab technician. It can do a summary of all these reports and it can give as a gist to the clinician, right? So the diagnosis becomes more accurate. And then it can be helpful in appointment, patient appointment. You know, the patient, once they are not in Indian scenarios, but if you take the UK and US healthcare providers, it is not like you step into the hospital one day, get the treatment, and then you are back. It's not like that. So you have to wait for the appointment. Once your appointment is there, then there is a number of departments you need to visit in order to get the treatment, and then there is a follow-up, then there is a link to the pharmacy and other therapies. So it is a complex workflow. Okay. Right now what they are doing it as a manual process, and they are having this administrative burnout. Okay, so they are unable to cope up with the time, and you know the patients end up waiting for a long time, 2 months, 3 months, just to visit the doctor. So we can have agentic AI to automate the process of appointments. It's very easy, right? So it is automated, it sends email, it reminds the patient, it reminds other departments. It is again a very, very easy thing. You would have definitely seen this kind of applications in some other scenarios, right? And then what do you see in the last picture? What can you relate to the last picture?
Consulting. Robot is consulting with the patient.
No.
Assistant.
So there is a doctor, right? There is a doctor and there is a patient.
It's
They are interacting. So what happens right now is that you go to a doctor, you tell about your symptom, they will start typing that, right? So they are so much into that, they might forget something essential that the patient is telling. In that case, is it not doable, like you have a system that automatically transcribes the interaction that is taking place between patient and the doctor, and then that is presented to the doctor for final diagnosis. So what is happening is, there is more time spent between the patient and the doctor, which is need of the hour, right? So these things are all doable. You can do each one of them as a project to begin with. Okay, so this is one thing. Why healthcare needs agentic AI? So this is one thing. As per statistics, over 190 zettabytes of data will be generated globally each year by medical healthcare field alone. Okay, so you can see here with this slide, it is guaranteed that the data that is generated by healthcare is the largest ever compared to any other sectors. But are we making any meaningful insights from this much of data? No. Okay, so that is why if we have, let's say, in a clinical workflow, let's say we have an LLM which is very good at reading X-rays. We have an LLM that is very good at reading tabular reports, lab reports, right? X-rays. So we can have this scenario, right? We can train LLMs for different things. So each one of them is taking the data and it does some kind of, eliciting some knowledge from that and giving that as a input to the doctor before he diagnoses. Just imagine how valuable it will be for the patient, right? So this is one reason. As I told you, administrative burnout. The most of the time spent by the nurses and all the doctors and other departments is spent on following up with the patient. Sometimes they miss this because of the huge traffic. They might sometimes miss some important appointment, and the patient might end up getting critical treatment that is required. As I told you, I think this point is also we have already discussed. Healthcare delivery often involves multiple departments. I think we have discussed this already, right? So is it clear to you what is agentic AI and why agentic AI is so helpful in healthcare, right? So what can you make out from this picture? We have two pictures here. Again, AI generated, but I'm trying to convey something.
The MRI report understood and clearly defined or explained to the doctor.
Okay, so there is an MRI report and AI system is doing some kind of prediction, right?
It is multimodal.
Which one, this one or that one? The right
All
one?
the inputs that
On the right one.
multimodal inputs.
Okay,
And
good.
AI is getting the
Very in a traditional AI system, although we don't see this kind of sophisticated machineries, we provide an input MRI, it does some prediction out of that MRI. Whereas on the other side, what we have is the current AI abilities, what it can do. It's able to read multiple types of data, it is able to make some reasoning out of the data, it can interact with the patients, it can interact with the doctors just to assist them in their treatment plans. Okay, so this is.
According to this, is it mean like we can avoid completely MRI scans?
No, I'm not saying this one. What I'm saying is, once you have all these MRI scans and other reports, the agentic AI system is able to make good inference out of those data. So here, what we do is like we feed this MRI to AI, it gives you some output, right? But is it meaningful? Is it really giving you some useful output out of this application of AI? No, right? Because here the doctor is not trusting. Whereas there, because of that reasoning, there is reliability, there is trustworthiness, AI can do a lot of things. This is the point here at this time. So you can see this is like it's like a tool, right? It's like a calculator, something like that. Whereas that is a true assistant. Okay, so agentic AI. Now multimodal agentic AI, it's what you mean by multimodal agentic AI is like you have, for example, a patient has Alzheimer's disease. A doctor just does not make a diagnosis out of just an MRI, right? He will look into patient's EEG, MRI. In MRI, there are different types: fMRI, SMRI, genomic sequence, PET scan. They consider multiple model data for coming up with the diagnosis. So, if you think, okay, I'm going to work on agentic AI for healthcare, that is not enough. What you have to do is like you have to consider your agentic AI to consider the multiple modalities that is there, that is inherently existing in the healthcare. Okay, so you have to think about an application that can read X-ray, can read CT scan. Don't focus on one single modality. Okay, so this is the point of putting this slide here. So what happens is, with agentic AI, reasoning and autonomy power is there, and then with the multimodal AI, you have the power of perception and comprehension. So you have the power or the knowledge, comprehensive knowledge that is available through multiple model data, and then you have the power of reasoning and autonomy injected in agentic AI system, so that you will end up having a very good assistant for the doctor. Okay. So AI can see, read, listen, leading to holistic understanding. Any questions at this point of time? We are now moving to the last part of the presentation. It's okay? No questions? Everything clear?
Sir,
Yes.
how do we deal with the ethical aspects of working with Gen AI, agentic AI in healthcare? Because, for example, when you provide the autonomousness to the AI,
Yes.
how do we know that it's taking decisions in favor of the patient rather than in favor of something else which it has decided upon?
That is why, like, we have some disadvantage also with the agentic AI systems. So we need to have something called guardrails. Okay. So whenever there is some kind of derailment, possibility of derailment in the decisions by LLMs, we need to have some guardrails. We need to have some kind of control, like under such circumstances, it has to fall back on the actual doctor, right? As I told in my beginning of my talk, like this whole talk is about how AI can be used as an assistant. Okay? So whenever or wherever you think there is a possibility of LLMs hallucinating, we should have some kind of guardrails. How we can do this one? You know, when we give prompt to the LLMs, we have to be very detailed in the prompt. Something like as simple as like if you are unsure about this and this, just say contact doctor. Just say I don't know. Something like this. These are called guardrails. So you can have this embedded in your agentic AI system so that we can somehow we can curtail these problems. Okay. Thank you for this question. Any other questions? Am I making sense here? Yes. Yes.
Whenever we are training a model, for example, we won't be getting 100% accuracy. Even though it will be like 99.9, that one, but in
even if there is a 100% accuracy, there is another doubt whether the model is overfitting, right? How do we ensure that when the model is not reaching 100%, healthcare being so high-stake decision making field, we can apply AI, right? This is this question. Anybody who can answer this one? I think it's part of our initial discussion. Is the question clear to everybody? Right? The model is not reaching 100%. Healthcare is so important. When the model is there which is not 100% accurate, how can I use it? I can use it as an assistant, provided the model gives me some kind of reasoning, some kind of explanation for the decisions.
So in that case, it won't be autonomous. So it's not taking decision on its own.
When it is very weak, we will make the no. So being autonomous is different. Your first part of question is different. First part of question is how we can trust it, right? So we are trusting it because it is giving us some reason. Now, how we are making it autonomous is like we are letting the AI model do some tasks which are otherwise, time consuming for the doctors. Those kind of tasks. Still, when it comes to high stake decisions, we are not relying on AI because of these problems.
So achieving autonomous in healthcare is still not being
Complete autonomous is nobody will accept anything. Even the patient, they will not agree for complete autonomous. Right? All these technologies is just to help the doctors so that more time is spent with the patient. Okay? Yes.
Just to add to this question, because we are dealing with the same
Okay.
in our organization.
Okay.
So there is a execution and there is a decision with the plan. Like for example, if you take IoT domain or network domain or any other domains, right? It is not impacting life critical or mission critical projects. Like for example, we follow like you would have a waterfall or something. It is not mission critical. So in healthcare, it is assisting the doctors, but in the IoT or any other domains, we are just executing it based on the decisions. So here, even if we achieve 99.9% accuracy, it works because it doesn't impact the health.
Exactly.
For us, we are keeping 1% of the buffer in all other domains, but healthcare is directly associated not with the patients, it is associated with the doctor. So it is assisting doctor. So doctor can take a final call whether to do it or not. So that 1% depends on the doctor.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. So going ahead, this is exactly what I wanted to point out here. Multimodal AI agents. It looks very powerful, very promising, but you have to be very careful because, as you see here, there is high risk of hallucination by AI. Right? If you have ever tried with the ChatGPT, it gives you factually incorrect results with so much confidence that you blindly try using it, right? So it is never should be that kind of practice from you. Anytime you are using even the top tier conferences like NewLips, in their checklist of paper submission, they allow you to use AI tool even for your methodology. Okay, so you can use your methodology. I mean, ChatGPT these days, the pro models, you go there, you give a prompt, it gives you some methodology, it gives you the code for getting the results. It can even help you writing the paper, but you have to be very cautious about what method it is suggesting in the implementation. Whether it is rightly implementing or no, you have to be very cautious. Otherwise, it will be a very embarrassing situation, right? Same thing here in medical field. If you are implementing LLMs in your workflow, you have to be very careful how we can handle this hallucination and all these derailments that can happen. Okay, so that is why we need to have a kind of policy for implementing agentic AI in the clinical workflows. There can be hallucination, there can be errors because there is high chance of dealing with different types of data. So it's powerful, no doubt, but we have to be very, very careful. So what is the solution? On one hand, it is very powerful. On the other hand, we are saying it is, we have to be very careful. It can lead to dangerous situations. Right? How we can handle this situation? Should we ignore because it is dangerous, or should we just blindly take it as more powerful? No. Both approaches are not correct, right? So we have to take a very balanced approach. Suppose you decide to have an agentic workflow in your organization, not entirely one single day you implement everything. And also very importantly, you need to train your staff in order to use these technologies. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. Okay. So this is about the trustworthiness, like decisions, AI decisions affect lives. There are three pillars of trustworthy AI systems. One is accuracy, the other one is explainability and fairness. So if you are exploring the field of explainable AI, we not only need accuracy, we need explainability, and also there should be some fairness in the reasoning made by the AI systems. So trust is prerequisite for agentic adoption. So now this also we have discussed just a few minutes before. I told you what are the best practices for implementing agentic AI in an organization. As I told you, we need to have good governance. We need to clearly define goals and use cases, choose the right solution, and there is data privacy and security. And as I told, we need to start with the pilot projects and phase out in a careful manner. And we need to upskill the staff. So these are some points that I've taken from the internet, like what are the best practices that can be used in the adoption of agentic AI in healthcare. So to summarize my talk, like there are opportunities there, very good opportunities. At the same time, we also have challenges in implementing agentic AI systems in healthcare. So there should be some balance between these two, and following the practices, best practices to roll out agentic AI systems, I think we can incline more towards the opportunities, taking good care of the challenges. Okay. So now I will show, if there is a time, I can show one demo. Yeah. So this is, let me show you this demo, which is point ready. This is there in Hugging Face. This is by Google. So what they have done here is like, they have developed a system where there is an interaction between the patient and the AI agent. It takes all the information about the sickness of the patient. It converts that into a very readable report for the doctor. So when the patient eventually meets the doctor, he knows exactly with all details, with all accurate results, it is there with the doctor. So doctor can spend more time with the patient, actually thinking about the treatment plans. So here there are two AI models. One acts like a patient, and other model is actually acting like an agent. Okay, so I'm going to choose one of the model which is acting like a patient, and I'm going to choose some symptoms that the patient is going through right now. I'm going to launch the simulation. So here you can see here, this is the AI model that is acting like an agent. So agent means what? Agent means somebody who has taken the responsibility of doing something. So here AI agent has taken the responsibility of screening the patient, not the treatment plan, like what happened and all those things. And then there is another AI model that is behaving like a patient. So you can see.
Thank you for booking an appointment with your primary doctor. I am an assistant here to ask a few questions to help your doctor prepare for your visit. To start, what is your main concern today?
I've just been feeling really unwell, like I'm coming down with something.
You can see here the report is
Can you
automatically
describe
getting
the
generated.
symptoms you are experiencing?
Well, I have a fever and I'm feeling hot and cold at the same time. I also have a cough and my throat is really sore. My nose is either running or completely blocked up, and my muscles ache all over. Plus, I have a headache. I'm just so tired too. Oh, and I've been throwing up a bit, and I have diarrhea.
You can see here instantly it updates the
When did
report.
these symptoms begin?
This conversation will go for 4 or 5 minutes. The agent will have a
Have you
comprehensive
measured your temperature? If so, what was it?
screening of the patient, and it generates a report which will be very detailed for the doctors to actually start treating the patient when they visit. So this is one demo that is very relatable to the talk that I have given. And there is this one. This you can see as an explainer, radiology explainer demo. Sometimes patient, sometimes it is actually when you visit doctors, it is their responsibility to explain the doctors can use this to input an X-ray. So you have this kind of response from the X-ray technician. Okay, so this is an explainer. So if you click on this one, it explains what is this means. So pneumothorax means what? Like patient will not understand this. The patient has to rely on a clinician and they have to wait for a long time to know about their symptoms, right? Sometimes it is so critical, they need to have the treatment immediately. So they can use this kind of treatment. It is again a safe tool. It's not giving you any direct diagnosis, just explaining more about the problem. So you click on this one, it explains what this means. So this is again another useful tool. There is one more demo that is there. Okay, so this is again a very familiar situation where we have a situation of getting the reports from the lab technicians. They write something which is not known to us. Even for sometimes doctors, they might miss some crucial information from the report. Let me choose one of the reports. So this is the report that is given by the lab technician. Now what it does is, it is a very simple application of LLM. It just gets this data, gives you as a structured output. That's all it's. If you look into the code, it will be just not more than 10 lines. You need to have a LLM, you need to have prompt, and then a way to feed this and way to get the output. That's all. Okay, so this you can see here it is so unstructured on the left side, but on the right side it is giving you findings per organ. So there is something about kidney, there is something about liver, there is something about spleen, all these things. So there is high chance no information is missed by the doctor in making the final decision, right? So these are all some of the noteworthy applications of agentic AI systems in healthcare domain. So think about all these demos and all the opportunities that I've explained. Start working towards that if that interests you. Okay, thank you so much for your attention, wonderful interaction. That really helped me in my degree of this speech. If you have any questions, please do. Yes.
What is the scrutinizing factor or framework for the actions generated by the agentic AI backed by the LLMs? Say we have ChatGPT or any other LLMs, for example, saying that they are not always right. When it comes to agentic AI, particularly we can't have that say the results being generated or the actions being done. So, what do you think is that security factor that tries to make things trustworthy?
Yeah, so we need to be careful in choosing the engines. As I told you, LLMs are the engine of this whole agentic AI system. So for your application, depending on what data it is going to process, you need to carefully choose the LLM that has been trained on those data. Okay, so this is the answer. So we cannot just randomly choose, because there are n number of companies that are releasing LLMs. We cannot just use it just because it is available, just because it is lightweight in terms of memory and all those things. So we need to be very careful in what LLM we are choosing that knows about the underlying problem that we are trying to address. So we had Q&A code session in between.
Are there any benchmark results
for I haven't included in the that kind of paper is also not there, sir, which is reporting the benchmark.
No, that will be confidential. It can be healthcare systems, yes, insurance and others will take care of it.
So I was constantly asking them to interact. So at every stage of my presentation, they have a good question. That's why I think they are quite nice.
Yeah, that's fine.
As the session concludes, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Noushath Shaffi for sharing his valuable insights on agentic AI or healthcare. Thank you, sir.